a speech has to be coherent and it has to have structure. So as a listener, right, what are the kind of speakers that you would like to hear besides this?
Well, a speaker who is comfortable with himself. I get a little bit nervous when the speaker is not comfortable. He doesn't want to look directly at the audience. Not too many of them. But a speaker who, the minute he or she comes on stage, you can see he's so friendly, right? You can see that he's ready to deliver. He's completely at ease. He's not going to waste your time, and he's going to speak in an interesting way. You can tell at once by the whole demeanor. So I get very attracted when I see a speaker, that kind of speaker on stage. I personally don't like too great a dependence on aids, charts and so on. I'm not even sure I'm interested. But no, this would be important for a different setting, business settings, and so you really would need these charts. But I mean informal talks and so on. Now, I don't particularly care for charts. I don't even like, as a writer, to read. In fact, it's a good thing. Sometimes the audience likes the author to read. Well, if they really want it, I will read a little passage, but I don't like reading. I like talking all the time. So I would say a speech that is full of information. I like to learn information. Even better, full of insights. Suddenly, I'm able to see things that I did not see before. I love that. I love that. It's not even learning about new things. It's looking at old things in a new way. That to me is far more important. We have got all the information we need, but I like sometimes to look at, or at least have somebody make me look at old things in a new way, and I say, oh, fantastic, this is great. Anything at all. Human relationships, men, women relationships, politics, even mundane instances. And this person has made me see new things, sometimes by a little quotation, by a reference. He probably isn't even aware of it, but he's triggered off something in me. And of course, humor. Humor. If a speech lasts 30 minutes, there had better be humor. People like laughing, because it's not just laughing, it's a very nice, you get a sense of solidarity when people laugh together, and all of us, I think without exception, enjoy listening to people who have a sense of humor. And when I say a sense of humor, I actually mean wit, not the crude sense of humor that would embarrass half the audience. I'm sure you have come across speakers who tell jokes that are not exactly appropriate. Do you know what I mean? And I don't mean non-sexy jokes. I've listened to sexy jokes that are gorgeous because they're so well presented. But silly, and then you have a few people squirming. I've squirmed and winced a great deal. So not that. But wit, wit that has everybody laughing, that is great. So that, and a nice conclusion. You see how demanding I am. A good beginning, a sense of rounding up. I like a sense of rounding up rather than, whoops. Has he really finished speaking? Is that all? But a nice rounding up. And even a poetic rounding up, like I tried to do today. Well, it succeeded because everybody loved a poem. I finished it, the speech, which is on women as observers and so on, with a beautiful little poem by an American Lebanese poet, Khalil Gibran. Beautiful poem, which distills, I think, the whole truth about women. Women, we are so contrary. I think you would agree, Stephanie. We want our freedom, but at the same time, we want to belong. Would you agree? Women we are such suckers for men who are protective, who are loving, and so on. But at the same time, we don't want the clinging vine. Would you agree, Stephanie, young lady? And I bet you it applies to you too, We want our space, we call it. And physically, there's nothing like having a room of your own. We all want a little space of our own, but at the same time, we want to go out to the world, we want to bond. In some cases, women even like to be enslaved. They get a special pleasure, which is why I think when you read about the cases of women being battered, they are battered, but the men can win them back by sending flowers and saying, I'm sorry, would you come back to me? Women are great suckers for that. Would you agree, Stephanie? It's part of our nurturative, emotional nature. Yeah. So yes, finish up with something that resonates with people, some human truth. No pretentiousness. I dislike pretentiousness. For example, saying something which sounds so scholarly, but 3 3/4 of your audience will never have heard of this. They will not even understand this very specific scientific truth or this very exalted philosophical insight. Why do you even bother? It's showing off. To me, it's showing off. It's not necessary. It's purely gratuitous. So I don't like that. And that is lack of, I think, relating to the audience. If you are mindful, you would never bring up these things. You would do it in a small circle with people of like interest, but you would never do it to a general audience. I've seen it, where people, I think they are so pleased with their possession of such specific, such scholarly information, you know, that they try. I would say, no, don't do that.
If there's one thing that you hope your audience will want to remember you for while you're speaking, what would that be?
Not remember me personally, but something to take back that will help them. You know, sometimes in a 40-minute speech, this has happened and it's made me so happy. Sometimes a person comes up to me and says, you know, you said something that struck me and it has enabled me to see my problem differently. I get such a thrill to say, wow, you know, you don't affect lives in any major way. But if you enable a person, and it's going to last for life for her, right? It's going, and maybe she will pass it on. Now that thrills me no end. But even if people are entertained and they are happy, you leave them, in other words, in a better frame of mind, happier. You know, some may come depressed and so on, and then they go back in a happier mood. That's it. So not to be remembered personally, that doesn't interest me so much. But for that person to go away with something, even though right then and then he or she may not be conscious of it, but at a later time they say, oh my God, Dr. Lim said something, hey, I remember that, you know, and maybe she's right. You see, this is the sort of thing I like to see happen. Although I don't purposely aim for that. No, never do that. Just go on spontaneously, and if it comes, it's incidental.